Stand if you think it's you. Further back, further forward, right there. So do you live in a vibrational world? Yes. Are you vibrational beings? Yes. Do you read your vibration through thought? You read your vibration through emotion? Yes. It pleases you to think thoughts? Yes. Thinking thoughts is as delicious as eating? Yes. Thinking thoughts can even be sensual? Yes. Thinking thoughts can be tactile? Yes. Because thinking thoughts produces emotion, and nothing is more sensual than emotion. So thinking thoughts causes emotional movement, and emotional movement can be equated to molding things into place. So as I begin to feel my way through things, I'm actually creating through the moving of energy. So my thought comes first and then the emotion follows. But by reaching for the emotion, I can direct the thought. Ooh, worth thinking about. The thought comes first and the emotion follows, but by caring about the emotion, I can direct the thought. Because you can hook into a feeling, and by hooking into the feeling, you'll set a vibrational tone, and then law of attraction will bring the thoughts that are equivalent to that. See what we're getting at? Where if you think the thought first and the thought's off kilter, and now you're trying to think a better thought, it's much harder, isn't it? So the new book is I create with my belly. No, that's not good. My guts are out there ahead of me. We're reaching for the mass market.
My passion is growing things, fruits, vegetables, nuts, flowers. My produce is the passion of all the squirrels in the area. My husband shoots the squirrels. And even though
Is there a market for squirrel?
not that I know of, I believe in the sanctity of life, but I also want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And so what's the answer to this dilemma?
Well, it seems, we know it does, that the critters are drawn to your gardens. And to some degree they are, because they do want to eat. But what really starts a rampage is a lot of thought or attention to something. So the critters nibble, you overreact. As you send out your vibration, you send out an advertisement that brings them from further and wider than they would have come. In other words, the word on the street wouldn't carry as far as your vibrational advertisement, you see. So it's one of those things where you say, stop eating my garden and I'll feel better. And we say, feel better, and they will stop eating your garden. Only you say, but I didn't feel bad before they started eating my garden. In other words, I don't think that I was worried about them eating my garden and that's what's attracted them. And we say, but if you put it in perspective, if you realize that everything becomes more and more and more, the more attention you give to it. In other words, when you are aggravated to the point that you are taking guns and killing them, there is a strong attention to them, you see. And what we've been talking about just before you came here is a very good basis, because it's hard to accept that your garden is a vibrational garden because it feels so tangible, and it's hard to accept that the critters are vibrational critters because they're right there munching. It's hard to accept that it is a vibrational world. We know it is. But when you tend to things vibrationally instead of physically, you have far more power than you know. We've talked to so many people who have had pests of all kinds, and the more attention you give to it, the bigger it gets. It's just law of attraction, law of attraction, law of attraction. Sometimes you might say, well, even if I could clean up my vibration about it and relax about it, maybe I'll plant more, and maybe I'll leave some of it unfenced where they can get to it easily. And so maybe I'll make a garden for them and a garden for me, and I'll tend their garden less. I'll leave it to them to tend, but I will plant it and I will make sure it's there. And it seems like a cooperative thing, but why should I have to do that? And we say, do it for the fun of it, see what happens. Do I have the power, you might ask, to create a garden and make it squirrel proof? Can I put a vibrational fence around it? And we say, your attention to it is what attracts everything to it. Your negative attention to it is what attracts the negative things to it. Is there a way that you could make peace with the squirrels? Do they come in great quantities? Do they nibble on every single thing? Do they ruin everything completely?
A nibble here, a bite there, just enough to ruin it for anyone else.
And is that really, now we get the picture of that, but is it really ruining everything for everyone else?
Not everything, but a good portion.
And so is it conceivable that you could offer something to the squirrel that it might eat instead of your garden?
I don't know.
Have you tried it?
No.
So you have not welcomed the squirrel in any way. You've
Well,
just felt completely hostile toward the squirrel.
There's a lot of fruit that falls to the ground that they're welcome to. I know they're just trying to make a living too. But I share fruit with a lot of people, and it's a lot more appealing when it doesn't have bites taken out of it.
Well, we know that it feels like something needs to be done. But this is another one of those wonderful examples where the squirrel is helping you to realize that there's nothing that you can really do that will make the difference. It's something that you have to achieve vibrationally. And the wonderful thing about animals is that they are so willing to cooperate because they understand your vibrational language even better than you communicate it to one another. So here's what we would recommend. It may take you a little while to work yourself into this, and we will talk afterward about some incremental steps to get there. But this is really the place that you want to be. You want to be able to stand in your garden or near it, or even standing and thinking about it, and take it all in and feel appreciation for what it is. And then say to yourself, I'm opening my garden to all who will benefit from it. I'm opening it to the vendors who will benefit from it and the people who will eat from their bags. I'm opening it to the clouds full of water and to the soil full of nutrient and to the squirrels and birds that may want to participate. In other words, I am really giving my garden up in the attitude in which I have planted it. For I'm not planting a selfish garden, I'm planting a garden of appreciation. So rather than thinking about what could go wrong with my garden or what has gone wrong with it, or rather than thinking of what I may be deprived from as I apply my hard work and attention and then something detracts from it, instead of thinking about me getting mine from my garden, I'm going to think about it being an offering of appreciation. I'm in alignment with the rhythm of this physical time-space reality and the universe. I am appreciative of the intelligence in the seeds that I plant. And I'm appreciative of the weather patterns and cycles that keep my earth productive. I am appreciative of the economy that brings people to me. I'm appreciative of my intellect and my physical ability. I'm appreciative. And as you turn yourself completely to this not exercise but impulse of appreciation, where every thought that you think about your garden is one of appreciation. Appreciation for all who come and for all who make it what it is. Anything that is out of sync with that vibration will go someplace else. And in that rhythm, you see, there is this broader view. People worry about global warming or overpopulation or endangered species or planetary imbalance. And we want you to understand that all of that is tended to from this broader perspective of well-being. And that while there can be pockets of not well-being, which are literally places that are shaded or shadowed from the well-being that is flowing to them, that the well-being of this planet and the orchestration of its population is tended to from broader perspective. So as you have had your contrasting experience and know what you don't want, which has caused you to know what you do want and put it powerfully in vibrational escrow, and then you get on these rampages of appreciation where you deliberately tune with the vibrational escrow that those pesky varmints have helped you to create. What happens is the resources of the universe and the orchestrators of all things work in concert with who you now are being, which is in vibrational alignment with them. Jerry and Esther have noticed that where they live in Texas, the hills are abundant with deer, and everybody's worried about too many of them. And occasionally someone will ask us about it, and we say, you don't need to tend to, as man tends to those kinds of situations from his guarded or imbalanced, disconnected point of view, he always makes things worse. This is your opportunity for you to show yourself the cooperation of the universe relative to something that matters to you. What we're saying is simply, let your vibration of your garden only be appreciation. And while an occasional squirrel will come and nibble, it will not be disproportionate. You will find yourself winking at the squirrel or squirrels and saying, understood, but the proportion, the ratio will change so dramatically that you will know that you've come into alignment.
Okay.
It is a frequent thing for beasts of your universe to teach you who you really are by them being who they really are. And a wonderful thing about them is they refuse to defy their true nature just to please you.
Okay.
They force you to do the only thing that works anyway, which is to deal with things vibrationally. Oh, there's that word again.
Okay. One other question. Is there life as we define it on other planets?
Well, you snuck that little qualifying expression in, as we define it, and you're opening us for all kinds of things.
I
because
define it
man
as
is sort of
maybe
wacky.
Any thinking organism, an organism that has the ability to
Yes,
think.
there are many other places other than this, what you call this physical dimension, where consciousness exists and creating abounds. And none of them will ever fly to you in their spaceships and co-create, because you are vibrationally different.
Okay.
In the same way that you are interacting with us and we are not here rooted in your physical realm, you do have vibrational access to a great many things beyond what your reasoning mind can understand.
Okay. Now I know everything I need to know.
Yes, you do.